5, 6, 4, 3, 2. Oh, skip 5.
Hello.
We're live. I hope. I don't know. Are we?
We'll see. We'll find out. Hopefully,
Let's
we get
see.
some Switch people.
I don't know how to check if we're live.
Well, we can't check after this because we'll no longer be live. But either way, Snowpocalypse.
I feel like when I go to my own Facebook page, it should tell me if I'm live.
That would make sense.
It's not telling me whether or not I'm live, which probably means I'm not live.
Well, you're live. Oh, it's live on yours. Yeah, probably not.
But maybe we're live on Twitch.
Yeah, there we go. All right, dude. Let's talk about this apocalypse that just went down. You want to, dude, start us off. What was it like in Oregon?
Well, we were out of power for 5 days where we lived, so went and spent some quality time with my sister at my mom's apartment. So
nice.
Yeah, that was
right.
that was pretty solid. And then, sorry, I just got a text. I think we are live because I just got text from Joe and Evan here. I wish you could see their comments. I don't know how to do that yet.
Oh, did they message you on Facebook?
Wait. No, it's Joe's birthday. That's what they messaged about. Happy birthday, Joe. Let's give you a shout out.
Happy birthday, Joe. Joe Stanford.
And Evan says we are not live.
Sick. We'll figure that out next time.
Wait, we can fix it. We can make this live. I think it'd be fun to go live. Go live.
I gotta go to bed. Jack, I gotta go to bed. We need to do it right now.
Oh, yeah, okay. Waiting for the live video. Oh, it's so close. All right. Well, everybody, if you're listening today, we will be live next week. We're going to make it a reality. It's a dream right now, but not next week. It'll be reality. But yes, but I mean, it was like, we survived. I was lucky that I had another place to stay that had power. And so because of that, it was all good.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. Dude, I wish I could tell you the same being in Texas. It was freaking...
Yeah, dude. Texas has been like all over the news. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude. It was bad, man. I mean, there's a multitude of things that happened, but basically the issue was that it was just too cold. And Texas just literally does not build anything for cold. So, all the water froze. You know those videos that you go on, TikTok, or you see them where they show, water just piling out of an apartment complex? You go, oh, God, I would hate, oh, geez, that'd be terrible if that was me. That literally happened to the complex across the street from me. They were straight up, the video on, one of the biggest ones on TikTok, as I've been told, is literally the complex across the street from me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude, legit. It's just straight up, it's fucked up. I think mine is fine. This complex, I think the management's good, so it's good. But, dude, it was it was a week. Let me tell you how it started. So, I took off last Monday. I took that off of work, for President's Day, because I had my birthday on that Friday. And so I was I go out, and it's just all snow. I wait on that Sunday, it was icy, it was fine, and the next day was all snow. And I literally was not expecting snow. I knew it was going to be cold, but it was snow. I was like, this is sick. I go outside, I'm just running around, my power's out, so I just frolicked, I had a great ass time. I was like, this is great. And then literally the power just didn't come back. And I was like, okay. And then my water was working, and then the water stopped working, and I go, this now sucks. this now sucks.
Jesus.
It literally, what happened too was that I had no light, so I just went to bed at 7 o'clock. I was like a freaking, it's like it was the 1600s. I mean, I had no candles, so it was worse than the 1600s. I basically just, when the light went down.
Worse than the 1600s.
It was worse, dude. I literally, the sun was my only source of light. So when that turned off,
yeah,
I was like, what? That's over bed? This
is the trippiest fucking thing I've ever heard.
It was trippy, dude. And then what happened? So my water shut off, and I was like, oh shit! I need to get my.
It's was there any news alerts? Did you know what? So you just. Was it did other people get updates and you just were just didn't care or
Well, there was updates on Instagram. They're available. They're on Twitter and they're on Instagram, but I'm not really on either of those. So That's the thing. That's the thing, dude. People are like, oh, have you been following the news?
But they got to let old people know. Like the local news sites, they got to be doing that because that's how old people get it. They're not on Twitter or Instagram either, and old people usually in the know.
Right. What about Amber Alert? What about those? What about the fucking? You tell me about every other fucking stolen child in a Toyota Corolla, but you won't tell me that we're in a state of fucking. I have to find out from my mom, who lives in Oregon, who there's a state of emergency on MSNBC for her to text me and tell me that. I was like, what? So I know about a 2015 Honda Civic blue that stole 10 children, but I don't fucking know that my whole state ran out of power and water.
Yeah, why can't they just ping your phone? That's like the most important thing.
Yeah. Just send it. Just text me. Just text me. Hey, here you go.
That's for.
That's what it's for. What else? Okay, everyone just think about this for a second. What else is that for? What, other than a state of emergency update, what else is that system for?
Yeah, they obviously have the information, so like it's not like it's less secure if they use it for other ways. I mean, let's just use it.
Exactly, dude. The only way I would have found out is if someone did kidnap a kid, and that would get an Amber Alert saying someone tried to steal a kid in a red Ford pickup, but thankfully, due to the state of emergency and no power, no water, they were unable to drive, and the police captured them. That would be the only way. But anyway, it was. I mean, it was fine. Like I had to figure shit out.
Leave? Like, was it too much? Could you drive?
Nope. My God, dude, I didn't know this. Batteries freeze. Like the goo inside them freezes.
How cold was it?
It was 7 degrees.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude.
It was 7 degrees?
In Texas, dude. And you know, dude, and get this, it was 75 degrees today and sunny. I wore shorts and a t-shirt.
What the fuck? It was 7 degrees. Wait, can we go back? I don't think it's ever been 70 degrees in Portland.
Yeah. It was below 10. It was a single digit, dude.
Whoa, that's wild.
Yeah. That's why it was an issue. And
yeah, no kidding, it's an issue.
Dude, it was fucked. I couldn't move my car. My battery was dead. I didn't have a battery jumper. I was in between two cars, so no one could jump it. I had to call my buddy to get me on a Jeep Wrangler. He had like this big old jacked up Jeep Wrangler. And, but he couldn't get through this intersection between his house and mine. So I had to hike. Dude, I went straight up Survivor, man. I packed up 2 bags. I had my water. I put food in them. I had 4 cans of beans and 2 avocados. That was my food. I grabbed all that, and I just straight hiked through the snow. Like I had my beanie boots, big jacket on. I just hiked through it. Hiked through the homeless encampment. They're all freezing to death, and then I find my buddy in a Jeep Wrangler. Took me to his house. Luckily, he had power, but yeah, dude, that's basically what I did. We had to melt snow in order to poop. Every time you poop, it was like, dude, every time I took a shit, it was an hour and a half ordeal. Because I had to go collect the water. Think about that. Every time you got a shit, you need at least an hour and a half.
All your plumbing.
Yeah. Dude, here's what I had to do. I had to go outside with a big old, we didn't have a bucket. We just had the biggest pot we had. So we took the pot, brought it out, melted it down, which, by the way, compacted snow distills to be about 1/8 of the volume that it was of water. It like you collect all the snow and then it's just nothing. And then I had to pull all the leaves and I got to fill up my tank and just a fucking flush. And then I pray to God that it goes down the toilet. Dude. Literally, I've looked at people's poop more than I have ever wanted to in my life, helping them figure this out.
Yeah, you saw everyone else shits too.
Dude, they're like, hey, can you help me with it? I don't understand how the toilet works. I had to look up how the toilet works. Dude, there's a certain intimacy when you look at someone else's shit.
Yeah, no, that's weird. That's weird. That's holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
So you guys were like,
but
I mean, everyone was just like Survivor Man in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was easier because I had power. Well, no, I didn't have power. I lost power for like 4 days. But I went to my buddy's house. He was smack dab in like, they had an outage map, and it showed you like where everything was out. It was literally everything's out. He was smack dab in the middle of the like super red, like you for sure don't have power. And he was the one house in his entire neighborhood, like surrounding neighborhood, that had power.
What?
It was weird. We don't know why. We're like, maybe you're on the hospital circuit. Like, I don't know. And so I just went there.
One circuit out to the one house. Why is it not on the same grid?
Dude, it made no sense. So I literally went there and I just worked, like did best I could for my job, and then just started like trying to find. We ended up started running out of water, so we had to go out to all the local grocery stores, get water. Everyone was just like, we were always just a second too late with the water. Like, people are rolling out with like 2 5-gallon jugs, like shitloads of water, and then we come there and they go, you're out. There's no more water. I was like, fuck. So, yeah, dude, I was not prepared. Here's what I thought. I thought I was prepared because my dad's a prepper and he's like all about being ready. So I had lots of water bottles in my backpack. But here's what I realized.
You just experienced your dad's like dream.
Yes, I was not prepared, dude. He was yeah. Well, here's what I realized I was prepared for. I was prepared to start a fire and drink water for 3 days. That's what I was prepared for. I had 1,600 fire starting kits. I got I got knives, fire starting kits. I got a fish hook and fishing line. Like, if I just crashed,
dude, when would you like? Fine. Fire is pretty low on the priority. What you need is in regular emergencies.
Right. No, it's for like
before you had to like start like you just wouldn't have a lighter available. You don't really need a fire starting kit if you just are in anybody's house and everybody's got a lighter.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Like with fuel.
No, and this became super apparent because I was like, all these survival kits I have are literally if you just like get stuck in fucking Alaska. They're literally and you have no cell coverage. They're literally for like the worst case scenario. And I realized I need to be prepared for the most realistic scenario.
And also, like, those aren't going to help you in your apartment. They can't help you in Alaska from your apartment. Like,
exactly.
They're probably not on your person all the time, so you wouldn't have it.
Right.
You'd be like, I got to think about all those fire starting kits I have at home.
Yeah.
All these fire starting kits, but we're here in the middle of nowhere.
That's a more realistic situation, dude. That's what I realized. Dude. It was I was not prepared. I sat down and I made a list though. I'm gonna make a couple bags, a no power bag and no water bag. I realized because here's what you need. You need water to flush the goddamn toilet. That's priority number one. That was my biggest issue, was water to flush the toilet. Everything else was solvable. Everything was solvable. I could get drinking water. I could get food. A few restaurants were open. Everything was solvable, but enough water to flush the toilet was my number one concern. So that's literally all. I just need to get like a propane burner. Yeah, dude.
Did you guys? This is what I want to know. Did you guys ever like go out and start collecting the water and get it shrinks way down, so like you get a bucket of snow and it's like a cup of water. And did you guys ever like flush it too early and it didn't get it down? So you were like, fuck. We gotta start over.
Dude, all the time. It was the worst. Because we do that, it would take an hour to do that, and then it wouldn't work. And then we go, because it was like just half enough. Then we gotta go get more. It was the worst.
Start over.
Just start over with a fresh crap.
Can't leave the problem be. You can't just you can't just start piling shit on top of it.
No.
The next solution would be to dig a ditch outside. And be just for taking a fucking ditch.
With the water.
It's not a great solution, but I'd rather do that than go collect water for an hour every time somebody has to take a dump.
Dude, my buddies are saying that. They're like, oh, dude, I'll just poop outside. Like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, dude, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that.
They didn't do it?
You're going to collect snow water. They didn't do it, dude. No. No one wants to poop in a hole outside, dude. No one wants. That's literally worst case scenario. Like, people are talking like, oh, I'll do it. Fuck, no, dude, no one's doing that. You don't want to be out there squatting down, fucking, dude. Although I tell you what I'm gonna get is they make camping chairs. This is my dad told me. They make camping chairs and you can attach little poop bags to them. So you can just and you just take the poop bag and you put it in your dumpster. It's like a doggy bag.
No, but that's genius.
It's genius. It's like a doggy bag, dude, and you don't dirty anything.
I feel like I would I'd bring an extra camping chair with me. So I could designate it as the poop camping chair. I don't want to be like take a shit in the chair and then like zip it back the right.
It's a toilet seat. It's not in the chair.
I was imagining like literally like the one you sat around the fire with. It just had like a zipper circle at the bottom that just like undid. And then he just like unzipped it, and then it was just like a regular camping chair, but just zipped out. And then after you do your business, you just zip it back on, and then it's a regular chair again.
Can you imagine? Imagine sitting there like at a campfire, and you're sitting having a beer, like, oh, look to do, got my beer, and then someone just goes, zip. They kind of pull their pants down a little bit, just take a shit, and they kind of put it back together, like still talking to you, drinking their beer. I'm like, oh shit, did you just get the shitty seat? Oh, what's that smell? Oh, Bill's taking a shit right now.
I gotta contain myself. That is so,
yeah, dude.
That is so funny. Oh man.
Yeah, dude. No, that's what it was. That's what it was, dude.
That's what it was, dude. It's been your last 4 days.
It was my last 4 days.
Shitting around the campfire.
Literally, dude. It was literally the worst thing ever. I'm gonna burn all. I wore the same sweats and the same jacket every night, and I just slept on a couch. So I'm literally gonna burn it all, dude. I'm getting rid of all of that, dude. After you spend 4 days in the same shirt, like same jacket, same beanie, you get real tired of those clothes. You get real tired of that shit. I never want to see it again.
I believe it.
But yeah, dude, that's what it was like. Although what I didn't like, and this you might be interested in talking about this too, but what I didn't like actually was all the people on the news talking about it. Because like they literally, I'm sitting here living it, and it's not really that bad. Like a lot of us had once they ran out of once the water went away, they fixed the power thing. So like usually you have one or the other. And like there was enough water, it was fine. I asked so many people like, do you need water? Like, do you need me to come help you? And every single person was fine. Everyone I asked on the street, everyone asked in line at the grocery store.
You kind of just need to like figure your own. Everyone kind of just figured their own shit out. It makes you feel good. Like there's a lot of hate on what's going on with Texas, and like, oh, it's so tragic. But you gotta admit, from what you're saying, every person handled it pretty well. Like you would have thought this is catastrophe, but nope. Turns out instead of like everybody forgetting that they're human and are capable, like that doesn't happen. People are like, oh, I need like food and water and shit, and like it's like dude, it's like Maslow's needs. Like you know, you might be lazy for the higher tiered needs, but you know when needs 1 and 2 are necessary, everyone's ready to work for that. Oh, food, water, shelter. Yeah. I mean, it's just your like body just wants it so bad. You're like, this is the easiest route, is just to go fulfill this need.
Yep, it was number one, dude. You know what's kind of funny is when we went to grocery stores, so we'd be in line, dude. The first people out of the grocery store with like all the water and all the food were always the fat people. Every time, dude. I saw the fat people get roasted so often, but you know who the first people were to go to the grocery stores and stand in line, dude? It was the fat people, man. They were like, no chance, I'm not surviving, dude. I don't know what it was. It was incredible.
Yeah, they're the ones. Well, it's probably these people. It's probably just a lot more fat people you realize that are around there, but they just don't go out. Maybe that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Right, because they're just people that are social and out because they're fat and they don't want to do it. No, I mean.
Right. Someone's gonna get offended.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. It's dude. I mean,
I don't know.
I think it's mostly a choice. So a lot of people, there are some people who have medical conditions and they get a pass, but for most people, it's a choice, especially people who are young and have no.
You know what happens is fat people think, no, that's not me. It's you're talking about the really fat people. I'm just like obese. I'm talking about the really fat people. It's like, that's it.
It's like it would happen with this podcast too, where we'd be talking about a friend or something, and they wouldn't even know it was them. We tell a story about like with someone in the story, but not say their name, and they had no idea. I was like, they were the only other person in the story, and they had no idea that we were talking about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one ever thinks it's them. It's like it's someone else.
Well, so there's this.
Anyway.
Well, there's this essay I read about conventional versus independent-minded thinkers, and conventional just means like basically you'll just go like there's like just a route of thinking that you'll follow. Like you pick a group and then like you just follow the thinking of the group rather than choosing your own thinking and then like determining where you and the group disagree, right? Like, okay, this is a group I like, but like obviously I have my own way of thinking and the group has their own way of thinking, and there might be some conflict there, but that's okay because the most part I get along. But like conventional minded, you'll choose a group or something, and then you'll just kind of follow that group for the most part. So what's funny is the guy that Paul Graham wrote this essay, and he was thinking like it was going to be controversial because there's so many conventional minded people out there, because it was really ripping. It was kind of ripped on him, right? And it was just like really was like it made it. I was way more in favor of independent minded thinkers than conventional minded thinkers from his writing, and. So he writes this thing, thinking it's going to be really offensive to all these, because in his world, like, or the way he views it, most people are conventional minded, and so he's like, and so he's like, he thought it was going to be really offensive, and then just nobody was upset because everybody thought they were really an independent minded thinker, and they just were not. Like they were not at all. Yeah. So I thought that was parallel to what we were talking about before.
Dude, it was. Dude, what I think. Most people don't think they're most people. So you know when somebody says, "Oh, most people do this," everyone doesn't think that they're the most people. Oh, that's not me, dude. That's why when I start reading books, I always assume I'm the most people, and then I have to prove it wrong. I don't ever assume that I'm the like outlier. You know what I'm saying? Because I bet I fit whoever the most people person is. I bet I fit him.
I do a lot of dude. I got a good example of this that actually ties in with the ice storm too. So the other day I'm on Instagram and just like on the Discover or whatever, and there's this video of some dude's ice like sliding off the top of his car and blocking his whole windshield. And everybody in the I was on Reddit, right? Because I was in the comments, and so I'm in the comments, and everybody's like, what idiot doesn't know to like take it off the roof or whatever, take the ice off the roof. And I'm not gonna lie, I was with my cousin Evan, and I'm driving, I've gotten on my roof and I stop on the brakes, and the exact same fucking thing happened, and the windshield wiper broke. And I was just like not on a busy street really, and nobody was driving, so I just like slowed down and stopped because it was during the ice storm, so like nobody was out, and so like I just stopped in the middle of the road, and Evan and I cleared it off. The windshield is broken, but like we're pretty far from either of our homes, and the driver's side windshield wiper just doesn't. It's just broken. There's nothing I can do to fix it, and so we just like drove like in a weird posture, looking out the other side because it was raining at the time.
Way, you just
So I was like only getting it was like getting the passenger side, but like 3/4 of the way over. And so if I like sat like this, if you're just listening, I'm like got my hands up, I'm leaning way back, I'm just awkward posture in the driver's seat, and I made it home, and I bought a new windshield wiper the next day or whatever, the next time I drove the car. But it was just like, so I don't know how well I would have handled it if I was out of water. Because I couldn't handle the basic shit here.
Dude, you know what though? People always hate in comments, and they always act like that wouldn't happen to them. That for sure. Dude, whoever commented, what idiot doesn't clean the top of their car? Every single person who drives a fucking car in Austin, no one cleans the top of their car.
Dude, also, I just spent the last 45 minutes digging. There was so much ice to the sides. Like, spent the last hour just getting my car out of where it was, and I just was like, I didn't even think about doing the top. I was just like, I need to get every piece of snow off this car that just makes it able to drive so I can go somewhere where it's warm.
Yeah.
And so it was like, and so it was like, I wasn't going to think about the top of the car. Like, I doesn't need that to go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Dude, now I always notice people who ever leave comments that are really hating, dude, they're just, I don't know. I don't understand those people. I never understand them. Dude, whenever something bad happens to someone, I would bet most of the time that would just happen to me too. in the same situation, I just really don't think that I have the most incredible foresight, and that most people have the most incredible foresight unless you've been through that exact scenario. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you live in Minnesota, then of course everyone knows clean the top of your car because it'll fall at a stop sign. Like, you know what I mean? If it happens to you all the fucking time, of course you would know that. But if you live in Texas or you live in Oregon that doesn't normally get that much snow, especially in Portland, you wouldn't know that.
My car's never in the snow long enough where that becomes relevant. Maybe a few times in my life, but I don't even know if I don't even know if I drove. Like I don't know if it's ever been relevant before.
That's like, here's what that's like, is a ish corollary. So in Texas during the summer, it's really important you put up those reflectors in your windshield. This is in Arizona too, but really you put the reflectors up so the sun heat doesn't make the car 120 degrees. So while you're parked. It's really important to do that, because what that'll do is it'll fry everything inside, and not only is it uncomfortable for you, it'll melt and like anything inside your car. Sometimes it'll explode hand sanitizer, like it'll melt your chapstick or whatever shit you got in your car, and melts it once you put that up. So, but that would be like somebody who, like in Oregon, say you had like an insane heat wave of 100. It was like literally 100.
This is happening degrees. This is. No, exactly what you're describing is exactly my case study.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know, and you probably don't even own the reflector because it doesn't happen to you. And then
I would be that thing is, and if it worked until right now, I just didn't know what it was. Yeah. I didn't know anyone that owned one. I'd seen them in cars before, but I was like, figured to keep out the heat, and I was like, you're kind of a bitch if you got that up. Like, is what I thought, and then I'm thinking like, well, they're probably just from Texas where you just do that no matter what. And then it's like, then I'm the dumbass that has had shit. I've had hand sanitizer all over my car. Like, that's actually exactly that scenario has happened. Yeah, because it got too hot and it melt, and it was like gross and sticky. Oh, it was bad. And
it's gross.
But it fucking. Yeah, dude, until this moment, I didn't really know what they're for, and they never occurred to me to buy one. I was like, I'm not buying one. That's like never relevant. But it would be if I lived in Texas or Arizona or,
New Mexico or whatever.
Wherever it gets way hotter. Or the sun's more direct, I guess. Because the sun gets more direct.
Yeah. There's less clouds in Arizona and Texas. There's like a lot more.
The angle is more direct, too.
Oh, really? I guess that's true.
Yeah, because well, just think about it. So if you're at the equator, it's just the same 12. Like it's a 12. You know what I mean? It's 12 hours each day and night, every single day, all year round. But if you're at the pole, it's 6 months day, 6 months night. But the sun on the pole never leaves the horizon. Like the sun on the pole, like barely lifts it. Like, so here's the horizon. Sun.
I got you.
So but on the equator, it's just like constantly directly overhead. Like directly overhead. So any point you are between that, it's less on that that like perpendicular to the circumference line. I don't know what that's called. You know what I mean? It's the more it's like out this way, the further you are. So in Texas, it's more overhead because it's closer to the equator.
Oh, that's a tip right there. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because that would make sense, because you're more northern, then whatever thickness of the atmosphere is tilted, so it's actually more atmosphere for the sun to go through. Interesting. You know what though? That makes sense, because in places like in Arizona, this happens in Texas a little bit as well, but in Arizona especially, you have to wear a lot more sunscreen and apply it way more often, because burns happen quicker and they're worse.
Yeah, I know that. So that one I've experienced. So I know the sunscreen thing because I spent time in the desert. Like, I mean, fuck, we were there for a month in April in Arizona.
Yeah.
But I didn't drive a car. See, I was there for a month, but I didn't drive. We were quarantined.
Yeah, right. That's true. They didn't have the opportunity to use the reflector. Dude, you just don't know these things unless you live in the areas, But, dude, one thing I also want to talk about I thought was funny, I'm actually glad it happened, is Ted Cruz going to Mexico.
It's been...
I'm so happy that he did that and he got caught, because that's just so much humor is going to come from that.
Wait. I want your take on this because I don't want to give my take first. I want your take on this because
Okay.
you're living it.
Okay. Oh,
Do you like
Ted
it? Like,
Cruz?
are you okay with it or not? Or do you think it was a shitty thing he did?
Here's what I think. I think that it was absolutely the wrong move for a leader to do. People are saying like, oh, what could he have done? Hand out blankets? He's a senator. He has powers. He has access to funds. He's one of our 2 senators. I guarantee he can do something for Texas. I guarantee it. So was it the right move? No, it was the wrong move for a leader. It really exposed a lack of leadership ability in my mind. To me, if he did that, I'm never going to vote for him. Fuck that.
I don't agree with that, but we'll continue. We can argue. Yeah,
really?
we argue.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. But yeah. Otherwise, it was just funny. It's just funny. Like the thing is, I don't think Texas. I never felt like, at least in Austin and me and my friends, I never felt like we needed a ton of help, but we were close. We were close to needing a full-on FEMA rescue, like trucks and trucks of water bottles. We were close to that, but it was never so bad that we needed like an emergency rescue. But there are certainly more things that could have been done during the emergency.
So what I don't know. So here's what I don't know to this story. I don't know if he could have done anything. And I think it's very possible that there's just actually nothing he could do. And I also don't know what his personal house situation was with power. And these things, it's your income doesn't really, like, you don't have a better power grid. Like, I live in one of the nicest neighborhoods of Portland, and we were out of power for one of the worst. And it's because we're in the hills. Like, it's just geographically hard to get power here. And it's just like, so it's likely to go out. Most people have generators. We don't have generator. But dude, he's got kids that were probably like, Dad, they're probably driving him nuts in his house. And like, fuck, we're gonna be out of power and water. There's gonna be nowhere for these kids to go. Like, dude, he's a dad. He's like got a full life. He's like, I need to get the fuck out for my own mental health. That's the way I interpret it. It's just like, and he's got the money to do it, and it's not, and it doesn't do any harm. What the country wants is his mental state to be right. I actually really like Ted Cruz from most of what I've seen and heard from him, and I just think he's been, I think he's just been a champion. And I also, so I've just been a fan of him. So I view it through that lens, you know, well, because I've always liked him, and but. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's just like dude. Just go to Mexico. It's not like he can't do his job there too. That's the other thing. It's like you don't know what he was doing. It's like, dude, it's 2021. You don't have to be in the like location to do your own work, and that's true for senators. They don't even meet at the house anymore because they do it via Zoom. So he can do his job from Mexico. He's got these kids that are cooped up. Just go to fucking Mexico, do your job from there. It does not reduce his capability to do his job.
I agree with that, and there are a lot of good things Ted Cruz does. I'm not like a Ted Cruz hater, but the reality is all those excuses you listed are fine for anyone who's not one of the 2 senators, and that is a voted-in leader of Texas. All of those make sense for literally everyone, unless you're an elected leader of the people.
Yeah, but he gets to have a private life too. He didn't like charade about going to Mexico, like. And if he felt like he could do his job from there, then I have no issue with it. It just got reported on. He's probably fucking having a nightmare time right now because he's like, fuck. Like, I just have seen his dedication. Like it's just like I've seen his dedication and how hard that dude works all of the fucking time. That I just know that it's like it probably didn't even occur to him that like it would be looked upon bad because he was like, this is just what I need to do right now because it's the best for me and it's because it's the best for my country because like. I need, I just need to keep my fucking family happy and occupied, because he gets his private life too. Like, and he does a lot. He's one of the hardest working, Congress people, or he's senator, right? Yeah, he's one of the hardest working guys there is. But
yeah, I believe it. I don't know much about him. I don't pay attention to him very much.
So you're arguing that just generally you think it's bad image for a leader?
Well, not just a bad image. I think he absolutely could have done things. I think the assumption that
I don't think that was reported. I don't think it wasn't reported he didn't do anything.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Because if he was, that's what I'm saying. That's if he went to Mexico and jerked off for a week, but he can work for Mexico.
Well, here's the thing, though. I'm not going to assume that he did something because I didn't
worse,
see
dude. That's not giving him the benefit of the doubt. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Why would I give the benefit of the doubt? Why would I give someone who literally left their state that was in a state of emergency? Why would I give him the benefit of the doubt? You know what I'm saying? If we can give him two.
What do you mean? Because he didn't. Can you at least give him a chance? Okay, maybe don't just give him the benefit of the doubt, but like, have you heard his defense? Did he say he was working? Because I believe him if he said he was working, or has he just been silent?
But listen, I don't care enough to look into it and determine if he's a good or a bad person, or that he made the right or the wrong. But that's shitty
because you are I mean, I know he's a public figure, but it's just like, I don't know, it's shitty. Not give hear people out. He's an individual. He's a human.
Well, it's not like I didn't hear him out. I just, you know what I mean? I'm not like researching into it.
Yeah, you're assuming
it was like a surface level opinion of it. Yeah.
You can't just.
Nah, whatever. I don't pay attention that much to it. I can, and I did. That's how most people do it, and I'm most people, baby. I don't care about politics, dude. But I'll tell you this: a leader should be where the people are that are going through it. I saw when I watched one thing that kind of gave me an example of what a leader should do. And it's not a direct corollary, but it sort of serves my purposes. Is I watched this World War II documentary, and they had talked about this major and his team that had gone to like the icy north, and basically what he had done was he had all of his guys on top of this icy mountain, and then the major was down, and behind the lines, behind the effective lines, because that's kind of where his command is, and in his house that he had taken over. Everybody wanted to start a fire to stay warm, and he's like, we're not going to start a fire, and we're going to be just as cold as the guys on the front line. And to me, I was like, that is a good leadership standard right there. And so
I like that thing. I like that. I see that comparison. I see that comparison for sure. I see what you're saying. I have a hypothetical scenario of a way that it would not be like that. What if Ted Cruz's house went out of power, just completely left power, but he needs to work. So it's not like he's just going to rest, right? We need him to have power because maybe he is a person that can do a lot of action, take a lot of action, right? So he needs that power. So he's like, well, where's power? Well, literally anywhere but Texas. And Texas is getting more and more blackouts. So I need to get out of this weather pattern in order to make sure I have power while the country needs me. Well, what if it's that?
Yeah, maybe.
Would that be
I mean, he didn't
leadership?
Mention that.
But I'm saying we don't know. I'm sure he's come out with a statement. We can probably find it. Let's see if he made a statement.
That's it. I mean, the only thing I've heard was that he just said his daughters really wanted to go to Mexico. That's the only thing I've heard. I mean, I didn't realize you were such a Ted Cruz fan.
Well, no, I'm more just. It's not as much about Ted Cruz. This is where I'm saying this is where we were talking about I think it was before we got on the podcast, but we were talking about the fake news filter. Ted Cruz is a bad dude for going to Mexico. So that one, the moment I heard it was like, okay, that seems like fake news. And the reason it was because it was like, it just didn't match up with every other pattern I've seen with Ted Cruz, right? So I've been just watching him for a while because I've been a fan. Right. And so he's been so just absolutely solid and just dedicated and committed and pushing things and just showing up and then making statements that I agree with. And then and then he disappeared and then he goes to Mexico and then they report it as he left his country. And it's that just seems too on the nose from one side. Right, that just seems it's so politically charged that that correlates highly with fake news because they want it's super politically charged, and it doesn't match how I know his behavior pattern. So what if there's an explanation, then this interpretation of Ted Cruz as a bad guy is fake news, right? If there's an explanation, he might have not been a bad guy, and you just so you don't know until you know the full picture. To me, it's I'll give you this. At the very least, I cannot pass judgment I cannot pass a judgment, so I cannot say he did it well. I don't know any of these things, that if he did it or didn't, and I haven't seen a response back. But he gets, in my mind, he gets like a few days to make a response. He wants to, do it right, and so he gets a few days. But if he doesn't make it in a few days, or like I don't see one, then fuck Ted Cruz. That's the fucking worst shit ever. But if there's a legitimate response, then I'm in. But I just don't know for a few days. But if there's not,
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. It's a fair point because it's just surface level. I don't know anything about it, right? Yeah, that's true. There could be a good reason that he did it, and there could be a good reason it was fine and it's awesome. I will say, for the most part, I don't like to assign good or bad.
But I'm saying the news did that for you, right? So it's possible the news did that for you.
Yeah.
So you have to watch out for that.
Right.
Right?
That's what
so
they
you
want
would be assigning bad to him if you just like, oh, he's a shitty dude. It's like, whoa, that's assigning bad, even though you're like, oh, I just read the news. It's like, well, yeah, but they gave you an opinion.
Right. No, I mean, that's exactly what happens, and I'm trying to avoid that happening, is just getting riled up by news and then going, oh, this is a bad person. Because it's like, how do you measure a person? How do you measure a person? And the thing is, too, is like, did he fuck up by going to Mexico? Probably. Like, you know what I mean? I think he could have done...
I don't even think probably. I think more... my guess is I would guess more than likely he didn't fuck up.
Going to Mexico?
Or like it was not a fuck up decision. Like it might turn out to have bad consequences, but I think he played it correctly by I think he would have still made the correct decision when he went, right? There's a lot of stuff, Matt, that had he known this was coming, I guarantee he wouldn't have gone to Mexico. Like had he known all this backlash was coming, he wouldn't have gone to Mexico even if it helped him. Right? He probably just thought nobody would notice.
Well, we probably need to look up, did he go to Mexico knowing the storm was coming? Because do you think it was a coincidence?
What? I don't know. I'm saying I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying that's one way it could be. I don't know what it is, and I'm saying from what I know about Ted Cruz, that's what I would guess it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but yours is to me. Yours is equally as unlikely to mine. Actually, I think mine's more likely than yours, but yours could be true too. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, we're both gonna think that our opinion is more likely.
I'm saying it's an opinion.
Like, you know what I mean?
This isn't. We are not arguing about anything factual because we don't know the full story.
Yeah, right. I don't know the full story. From what I know, I'll say this: if he had any idea that this is going to be an issue, and then he left because of that, I would say that was a bad move. And it's from my opinion of a leader leaving the battle zone, that is a demarcation in my book of Reno. And maybe he has a really good explanation, but also I don't really give a shit that much about politics, and I don't follow it because it literally just riles people up, and it riles me up, and it's really hard for me to resist getting fired up, and I hate getting fired up about it. So it is an uneducated opinion, but you know what I'm saying? So, but either way, I don't like a leader not being in the battle zone. I don't like the fact that I was in Texas having to go through all this shit, and then one of my leaders was not there. Now, I'll tell you this though, I don't know if our Mayor Adler was here. He could have that before, you know? So there could have been other people who did the same thing, but I had no idea. Here's one funny thing. So
a lot of them that was the one that reported on.
Exactly, and all the other no names. So that could have happened too. But dude, Mayor Adler, he got roasted, dude. That's our Austin mayor. He's super liberal in the Texas sense, not liberal for Oregon. He's probably conservative for Oregon or for Portland rather. But he got because when COVID was bad, real bad, people were freaking out about it. He went to Cabo with 12, 15 other people, and then he made this FaceTime video, showing his face, hey everybody, just a reminder, keep your mask on, keep quarantining, we're still don't travel, we're still in the thick of it, don't take your foot off the gas, in terms of staying down. And then literally behind him, there was someone just drinking a margarita, and he was just in a resort, a Cabo resort. And we're like, and you know what? He's Democratic, and I fucking hated on Tim too. I was like, this again, you're a leader that is not in the battle zone. So, yeah, he did that, which is funny because
that's true. Okay, I see. I get that
Yeah.
perspective more. All right, I'm getting the ground floor perspective.
Yeah.
More. I'm seeing it more. Yeah.
But I do want it to be clear. My opinion is literally based on the leader is not in the battle zone. Not about their policies, who they are as people. Are they
everything else? They should just made it work in the battle zone and stuck by their people.
Yes.
I think it's a fair
exactly. Take. That's literally the opinion.
It's a fair take.
Yeah, that's literally the opinion. Because I realized, dude, I watch these videos like MSNBC or Fox News, dude. I watch these videos, and like 95% of the words are like opinion or like adjectives. They're just like opinions and adjectives. There's like 5%. If you try to filter, like you watch these videos about what's happening in Texas or something, you try to filter out all of the like opinions and like all of the political stuff, there's like barely any news. There's like 5 minutes of actual news. Here's what happened in Texas, and everyone can spin it. Here's what happened. 80% of our power comes from natural gas. We were not insulated, and the pipes were not dug deep enough because we have not had a freeze like this in at least 11 years. From what I haven't done the research again, but there was a freeze 11 years ago. Not as bad as this. So obviously we're not prepared for it because there was no need to be prepared for it. That's like if Minnesota was ready for 140-degree fucking summer. They were not prepared for it. So again, we're not prepared for it, so it froze, so the power shut down. Power then shut down to the water treatment plants. Then all the pipes burst because they were not buried deep enough, again, because we've never had a storm like this. And so literally the cold caused all the issues, and then once it warmed up, all the issues went away. That's the news. That's all the news. And yet somehow you have every major news network running this shit 24/7. Well, do you think that's because there's more news? Or you think it's just because they need to say fucking something to their listeners? I mean, obviously you're kind of tuned in on this, but I'm just speaking in generally to people, obviously it's from a podcast, but speaking generally, like, there's not that much news, dude. There's just not. Did we have water? Yes, we went to stores and we bought the water. And there were a few houses that in fact had water. Here's one fucked up thing. Affluent neighborhoods had less downtime for water and power. And so it was a trend in Austin, at least. The neighborhoods with the more money had less problems. Now, I'm not passing judgment on that, but that is a fact.
Contractors.
That if you have, that's also true. Here's the thing. They also, when they pay more money, maybe they did put more insulation. Maybe the pipes were dug deeper. Maybe they have better management so that like people could get them up to speed faster. I would imagine that a lot of affluent people are probably, on average, I would say that they spend more money to be more prepared. And I would imagine that they also have more connections, because more connections equals more wealth. Yeah, or they have paid someone to get it fixed.
Doesn't raise any alarms. To me, there's just like, that's a correlation. I'm not surprised it's a correlation because there's a lot of ways there's just a lot of ways to explain it that aren't some malicious thing or greed thing.
Exactly. They just, with money
and who do you
comes
think they're hiring? They're not hiring other people in the rich neighborhood to come get their power faster, so they're like giving money. They're giving work. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just like one. Yeah, and it could also just be that they were more convenient on the power grid. It could just be coincidence.
Yeah, I would disagree that it's a coincidence. It could be. I don't know enough to say it or not. I think that correlation is absolutely true. Because, I mean, think about it, dude. It's like, who's got the money? If you got to prioritize people, who has the biggest connection?
Dude, there's no evidence that they prioritize them. Like, there's a lot of other ways to explain it. This isn't the same thing as the Ted Cruz thing. There's a lot. You're explaining it one way, and I'm explaining it like 4 other different ways it could be. But you're like, oh, it's like this one way. There's like 4 other ways it could be.
Well, no, hold on. Let me clarify my argument. I don't think it's a coincidence. That's the only thing I'm disagreeing with. Was that it just happened to be.
The explanation could be something really innocuous, though. Do you agree with that? That's what I think it is most likely. I agree that the correlation, there's probably something there, but it's probably really innocuous.
Here's what I don't think happened that somebody might say. Here's what I don't think happened. Is that the power companies, the water companies, they colluded with the rich people and went, oh, yep, for sure. Yep, no, Mr. Smith, yep, for sure. You'll have power and water prioritized because poor people suck. and they don't pay us under the table, and you sent us all those gold doubloons, so yeah, you'll have power for sure. Yep, you got it. Well, I don't think that happened.
You know what might happen though? This is the most harmful explanation I could think of that could be true. Like the worst one is that like they're like, oh, we got to get to this neighborhood first because it's my donor. But the politicians aren't the ones deciding. It's definitely just PGE that does it. Like they don't, like the Congress people aren't calling down to PGE. Like, hey, we need these neighborhoods first. The guy at PGE be like, dude, what the fuck? I already sent Jim and Jerry to the one that's just next to us first. What do you mean? We're not going. We're just going to. We're starting with the ones closest to us. Maybe the PGEs were just built when maybe the first homes were in the best geographical spots in the city, right? And so that was where the first power grids were. And because of that, that's who they turn on first, because like just somehow where the connection is, it's like you just turn up, like it's just organized to the ones that were built first, turn on first. And the best spots in the city would have been taken by the first people that got here. So that would be a really innocuous explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. There are explanations for it. Well, also, I mean, just think about it, dude. If you don't have a lot of money, more problems happen to you. It's just a reality. When I came to Austin and I had dick all, I literally had to cancel all of my auto payments on all my cars and insurances because I didn't know how much money I would have. I lived in like the absolute worst neighborhood possible. I have more problems. I have way more problems. Just issues in general. Just shitty things happen more often because that's the nature of not having money. And so, you know what I mean? And then you have more money, and then you're going to have less of certain problems. You might have other newer problems, but like your life in general is probably going to be more put together. You know what I'm saying? If you have more money, your life is probably a little bit more put together, just by nature of related things. So I don't think it's not like a good or a bad thing. It's just kind of what it was. Now, the one thing I honestly thought about was I think the biggest way to solve so many issues for people individually is just fixing their money situation. Because once you start once people have more money, other problems kind of go away. Like nutrition is going to get better because they can afford better foods. Like childhood, not starvation, but like malnourishment goes down. You know, like
is malnourishment,
your overall health will go up.
Wait, so you're talking worldwide?
Pills. I'm talking.
Is malnourishment an issue with children in the U.S.? Really?
In some places, there are certain there are food deserts. Yeah, you can look it up. There's like food deserts where there's basically problems because only food available. There's just not that much healthy food available, and there are certain neighborhoods where kids aren't their parents don't make enough money, literally don't make enough money to feed them enough food. So
they're not
that can happen,
but they're underfed.
There are places that happens.
Nobody's because I know nobody's. Okay, that was okay.
No one's starving.
Okay, I can buy that.
No one's starving. Yeah, no one's starving, but there's malnourishment. There's malnourishment. There's people who they don't have consistent foods, right? There are people who live in even in the United States, there are people who live really shitty situations. But one thing I think is if you fix the money problem, if you can look at 10 problems and go all right, child malnourishment, can't afford rent because rent's too high, can't afford medical bill, your health isn't good, medical, blah, blah, blah. You can look at all those. Now, how do we solve those individually with a whole bunch of programs? But in reality, you can fix all that by just getting people more money. And so to me, but how do you do that in the best way? That's where you need to brainstorm with everybody in Congress and also people in the private sector as well, is how do we get people to manage money better, and how do we get people to start raising their incomes? Because even if they don't save any money and they just blow it all, if their income goes up, their life will get better. So we can solve all these problems with, helping people manage money and make more money. So if you solve that, that's 10 birds with one stone.
So how do we solve it, the money problem?
This is where we brainstorm. Every idea is brainstorm right now. And I'll tell you, listen, I'm not educated, so that nobody gets fired up at this. I'm not educated on that.
No, we're just brainstorming ideas. Yeah, I agree. Those are problems. It would be good if they were solved, but how do you do it?
Let's see. I'm not opposed to a higher minimum wage, and I'll tell you why. Is because $15 an hour. I actually came to my own conclusion that $15 an hour isn't the worst idea when I realized that it was $30,000 a year. And when I got here in Austin, I had a salary of $30,000, and I was just solo Reno, living in the worst part of town, and it was kind of tough. Like, it really, really sucked. And so then I thought, okay, if someone's getting below that, that's a problem. And so then I thought, like, oh,
so you just idea. Okay, so what if $15 an hour is not the solution? I'll give you a reason why. It's because there's a lot of evidence that shows that raising the minimum wage rushes in automations, reducing the number of jobs at even that wage potential, right? And it doesn't create any new jobs, right? Once you automate something, you're just like, you might need one technician to run it, but it's not going to be but the technician isn't going to be in the same class of people that was running the jobs. You know what I mean? So, or that was doing it originally. So there's a lot of studies that show that if you raise the minimum wage, it rushed in automation, but then you'd have more people on welfare, which would be making even less money than that. So it's like, okay, so there's one example that I don't know. What's your rebut to that? Because from what I said, from that, it can't work. It doesn't work if it rushes in automation. But
so what it does is definitely is going to have more automation, and it's going to raise the overall unemployment rate. Not the reported unemployment rate, right? Because we might have an unemployment rate of 5%, but that doesn't include the people who gave up. But it's going to lead to more automation, which I also don't think is a bad thing. So is $15 an hour the total solution to give more money to the middle class? No. I think it would work. I think it, in conjunction with other solutions, would work. I don't think it's worth throwing it out. I don't think it would. I think it'd do more good. It would do more good than bad. I think that's the problem with these conversations in Congress. If someone goes, oh, this could work, $15 an hour, and then people jump down their fucking throats about it and then throw the whole idea out the window. I think it should exist as a part of a greater solution and a greater trajectory of the United States middle class. You know what I'm saying? I think a minimum wage raise exists not solely as a solution, but as a part of a greater solution.
What do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea? So I am a believer that UBI is going to be necessary because of automation, just generally, right? It's just we are going to be able to provide for every single need for humans with a human input that's way less proportional to the number of humans there are. I mean, we're already there technologically, right? But it will be to such a degree that there will be so many job people that are just that are below a certain IQ range that I don't think we'll be able to it'll be difficult for them to find jobs that pay as much as the people that are able to be on the other side of this automation thing. And so here's my idea for long term. As one, I think we need UBI, but I wonder what would happen if you had UBI at an actual and when I say universal basic income, I really mean that's what UBI is, in case you haven't heard that term before. But what I think it needs to be at a high enough rate, but I don't mean you just necessarily I don't just conceptualize it as a dollar allowance per month, because then you get into the conversation of inflation and some major issues like that. But rather directly delivered goods and services, but with a degree of choice involved. So it's not but there's just a service you just get an allowance, or it'd be the way you do it is an allowance for food almost, or something like that. I don't know, but then you get rid of the minimum wage altogether to maximize the jobs that you can have. You can make human labor really, really cheap for the average company, because they're going to not want to pay. If the minimum wage becomes $30 an hour, all these fucking basic jobs are going to be gone. And some of them people as a lot of jobs jobs that have disappeared, like starters at golf courses, are way down now because minimum wage is high and they're just like expensive to have out there. But it's a lot of times it's old dudes that would just do it for free and just play golf. But like I don't know if there's like a contractual obligation or something that like they have to have somebody pay. They're the dude that stands out there to make sure everybody paid for their tee time and just like greets people as they go off and make sure that they're in order. Like you just stand there all day, just like, hey, you got a receipt? Yeah. Oh, sweet. Oh, you'll be right after these guys. And you just kind of, that's it. And then just like if somebody doesn't show up, hey, this person's missing for their tee time. But you just hang out and chat with people all day. And there's a lot of really great, like if I retire, it's like a job I'd probably pick up. But they might not have the job if they have to pay me $30 an hour. I'd be like, look, I just want to be out here. Like, I'm hanging out. So, but if you have a UBI where it's livable and like all your basic human needs are met, you can get rid of the minimum wage because that's the purpose of the minimum wage, right? Is to make people have a livable life. But if you have a UBI, then presumably if it's the right amount, because it needs to be high enough that it's actually like you're not abject poverty, you're comfortable. And remember, we can do that in my hypothetical scenario because our automation is that good, so we can deliver goods and services at such an absurdly cheap rate. And so you get rid of the minimum wage because the only reason the minimum wage there is to increases the people's like, and then it just opens up a ton more jobs and ways people can make themselves useful because it feels good to have a job. It feels good to be useful. Somebody wants you there. They're paying you to do something.
So you're suggesting, right. So you're saying basically there's almost a safety net. There's a minimum amount of money you will make in the United States.
We just give it to you. We just get your basic needs. And I don't think we're there yet. Like I don't think we're technologically society yet. But I think it's a conversation that needs to be had and it will be relevant in the near future.
Yeah. Listen, I'm in on UBI. I'm in on it happening within our lifetimes. And the more I see of Andrew Yang, who he's the one who kind of suggested it, or at least made it popular in conversation for me, the more I learn about Andrew Yang, this guy's got things kind of figured out.
Yeah,
this guy's good.
Yeah, guy's smart.
This guy's smart. He's rational, and he can talk to anybody. He talks to Ben Shapiro, just like literally a Republican attack dog who is one of the most educated, intelligent, articulate people out there. And he goes, bring it on, baby, because his points are solid. He's not concerned about getting caught because he's just solid who he is.
I like Andrew.
You're not going to catch him. So, and if he suggests you, I go, maybe we need to talk about it. It's this guy who's really smart and put together. So I'm down with it. I also like the idea of you're a citizen of the United States. Listen, we are doing so well as a country, as a people, and as a collective. We've all decided nobody will fall below a certain level of living. I think that's badass. I think personally, that's awesome, and I'm down to pay for it. Because the idea that we've gotten so advanced as human beings that we can set a minimum life standard for people, I think is awesome. And I would love, and here's what it would do too, is I would love to see people who are like homeless or people who are like really in like shitty situations but they can't escape it because they like are on payday loans because they have so little money. I would love to just, all those people, eliminate those shitty options and get them out of any vicious cycle. And they just at a certain baseline. So, I mean, I'm pretty down with that. I'm pretty down with that. Now, that would have to, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so the one thing you'd have to watch out for would be that I think if you're doing the UBI is I think you need closed borders as well, because otherwise you'll, like, the other countries will just bankrupt you. And here's why. It's not because of like, this is not a political thing. I don't think this is, to me, it's just a very logical, not a political. It's just like, problem is like Mexico, they're not going to have this basic living income. They're like, oh shit, if I can just get to the US, I mean, you have to get citizenship, but you know, like people come here to have babies. Like that's a real thing because then their child gets the money and it's like, you want it, like you want these people to exist, but like, if it becomes that good of an offer that like everybody in South America wants to just move here to take the money, because they're not going to, by the way, that money's not going to get circulated back into our economy. It's going to go, they're going to ship it back to their families where it does 10 times as much more, right? Like if you send 10 grand to Venezuela, are you fucking kidding me? Or like, I don't know how poor Venezuela is. That could have been the most ignorant statement of my entire life. Venezuela is probably a rich country. but but like so whatever. Some poor neighborhood in Brazil. I know there's poverty down there. Okay, I know. I'm sorry. I'm not world educated enough to know about South America, so I'm sorry if I offend anybody that's down there. But
yeah, I don't know. If you gave me a map of South America, I could probably get like two.
I could do most of them, but I don't know their like climates or like what their political structures are.
Yeah, I got Brazil and Chile. Yeah. I got those though. Those are the easy ones. But no, I mean, I see your point because do you worry, if you raise this standard, do you worry about other people coming in and getting in on it?
You just make sure
that reality already exists.
Well, that's also why I think you need closed borders generally. I mean, but UBI would make it worse.
Right. I think that we wouldn't want to throw out the solution because we couldn't fully secure our borders.
Lower the flow rate. I'm with you. Not if you can't. It's not like full, but it's just like you just have to have secure. Secure doesn't mean 100%. It just means like they need to be pretty fucking locked down. It needs to be difficult to make it into the United States illegally because people won't come, right? If they know it's hard, they won't come. So it's like you won't have people like getting stuck at the border and they just be like, no, we're not going because it's not going to work.
From my understanding, it's already pretty difficult.
I don't know where we're at right now.
It takes like
because there's a wall now.
It takes around 8 years. Well, it was always been that way. But I mean, mostly because Donald Trump fixed it for everybody, but also that it's always been a problem.
I've never heard somebody say he did bad on
what I heard,
security, so that makes you think that he did well.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it's more secure. But I think that the overall, border leakage or like illegal immigration, I actually think is less of a problem than people think it is. And I think it's actually not that overall. I actually don't think it's this huge economic or like humanitarian suck that people treat it. Because for the most part, and a lot of this opinion is coming from this book 2030, but this guy presents a lot of data that shows a lot of immigrants actually way more than pay for themselves in the short and the long term, even if they're illegal. Because he even talks about people who don't even have a social security number, they still pay taxes. So they're still spending money here. And so they ship some money back, but they still got to live here and they got to pay money. So I think those are problems, but I don't think that they're actually, the problem itself, I actually think, I would not be surprised if it paid for itself. If you look at overall, does illegal immigration, does it pay for itself? I would not be surprised if it actually did. If there was more people, there was more contribution than, I don't know what the word would be, but basically taking away from the United States economically. I would not be surprised if it was actually did more. Again, I don't know, but from the data I read in this book, it seems like it could be possible. But anyway, that's sort of a side point. But I like UBI. I like the idea that we could have a safety net for everybody. I also don't hate the idea. Sometimes I think about this. How cool it would be if we lived in a country where there was a basic level you were never going to fall below of like living standards. You're never going to fall below it. And it costs money for sure. It costs money and we're paying for it. But I think it'd be cool to do that because we're doing so freaking well as a country, we can do that. And I wouldn't also be opposed to community colleges and trade schools being paid for. I would not be opposed to that whatsoever. There would be an application process, sort out all the
trade school
losers who are just going to suck it out.
I know. I think trade school
you can get paid.
Like it's paid work. Like when you go to be a carpenter. No, trade school.
To go to the college?
Like to go be a carpenter? You don't like...
Yeah.
You like...
Right.
You just go start working. And you started as an apprentice. And you get paid.
Let's see here. You may be wondering, do you get paid in trade school?
Yeah, you do.
Dude, this is almost too easy. Well, you can. In fact, you can. So at least this one article says, tradeschoolgrants.com says that you can. In fact, there are many different ways to get paid to go to trade school, from getting scholarships, grants, to specific programs that pay students a stipend. Trade schools that pay you are out there. Let me look up at least one more source. Get paid to learn a job. Okay, so it looks like it's not paid for, but you can get it paid for, or get paid with stipends. Okay, so it's not a for sure thing, but you can get, it looks, from my 2 seconds of research, it looks like there are programs for you. Because I think you go to trade school and then you become an apprentice, like a journeyman carpenter in that. The journeyman is a little bit farther along the way, but.
Huh. I'm pretty sure, well, I think you start, I think you start as an apprentice while you're in trade school then. Because I was talking to all these guys that were like, I'm in trade school.
It could be.
Were like, well, they're just apprentices. I don't know if I just assumed it was trade school, and everyone was getting paid. Everyone was on the job, like working and getting paid. Like they were just there and getting paid. Because like part of it's paid work. Like because you're definitely, there's at least part of it that's like your apprenticeship, and it's all paid, and it's paid pretty damn well. Like even when you're just, when you're like a level 3 apprentice, you're making like 23 an hour, and then once you get your journeyman, it's like minimum 32 an hour. I think if you're like union, I don't know if that's the exact right numbers, but
interesting. If you can get, I wonder if it's like a situation where you take like a year or something, and then because trade school is like a couple years, so I wonder if it's like your first 6 months is just studying, but then eventually you get like part of your course is to get a job. Like I wonder if that's what it is. Like you gotta get your, not an internship, but you gotta get your credits for working.
Any carpenters ever talk about their time in like classrooms.
So you can basically
ever. I feel like I was with them so often that they would have talked about their time in a classroom if that's what they were doing, ever. Like, and even I was like talking to apprentices, and nobody like never. Right. And I was like, dude, I talk to carpenters a lot, and electricians and drywall. I guess drywall. You don't need it. It's not a licensed trade, but plumbers, like every trade you can imagine. Reno, that was my job.
Yeah, I believe you. No, I'm learning from you right now.
I didn't actively. But they nobody ever talked about but maybe they went to school, I guess. I don't know. I just thought it was just always on the job, because that's where it looked like they were being taught on the job, but I guess I could have just been really ignorant.
Yeah. Well, let's go to let's go to engineering ideal land, or we have a black box model. Let's go to a black box model real quick, since we clearly don't know very much about trade schools or how they work. But so black box model. So basically, I would love to live in the United States where, like trade schools. So maybe trade schools are already paid and they're free. Then we already did that. Boom, check the box. But if it's not, get that going. Same thing for community colleges. Basically, just make it so that money follows education pretty typically. So does life expectancy, and a lot of good things pretty much follow education pretty well. And so I think those cheaper programs possible in the same sense that we have public education, K through 12, and just basically add another free couple years to learn like a really specific job that basically makes you a skilled worker. So you can do skilled labor, because skilled labor pays you more, and typically you get benefits and you can programs. So I would say, through free education or covered education, you can become a skilled worker. I'm not saying pay someone to get some bullshit art degree for $100,000. I'm talking like literally community college. We give
that.
$50,000 to go to school.
I think the trade school one is already solved. I was like trying to say, like, hey, dude, I got good news for you. The world is actually a good place. Well, and it is, because trade school is but it's funny. That's not where people are going, right? Like there's a lack of trade. Like you can make a lot of money in the trades.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge lack, dude, of machinists. There's a giant lack. I mean, when I worked at ADEC, which is a dental manufacturer. So everybody out there, if you go next time you go to your dental office, look at the brand. I bet it'll be ADEC. ADEC is also really expensive. So if you ever go to a dentistry or a dentist and they have ADEC equipment, odds are it's a pretty good dentist, because they're making a lot of money to be able to get that equipment. But we had machinists that would, because I was on an experimental team where we basically made equipment that was not main production. Like someone came to us with a really specific problem, and we made a point solution for that problem. Like for instance, the Navy, they have operatories, they have dentists on aircraft carriers because you're out to sea for so long, you need to have a dental appointment, and there's like emergency dental surgery, so they have that. Well, the issue is that the ship is moving, so we had to design a solution where all the shit didn't move around the whole time while they're drilling into your mouth. So we had to design, I wasn't there for this, but the team I was on had to design a chair and an arm and to hold the drill bits and everything to where it all like didn't move or moved together.
That's nuts.
With the ship, because that was a huge problem. And so anyway, but when we would make experimental parts, we had machinists that would make a one-off part for us. We had a 3D printer too, and all those machinists were so old. They were like 60 years old, and I was like, hey, are we going to run out of machinists because they're going to retire? And they go, yeah, because there's no machinists. Like no one's taking that trade, and that trade plays bank. All those machinists were probably making $75,000, $80,000 at least, if not more, probably. Plus all the benefits of the job. So, like, I don't understand why more people aren't going into that, because you don't have to be super smart to be a machinist or a carpenter or a plumber.
But also, Reno, we're going to make
way know the shit that you need to do.
Like, it is
for sure. I mean, I'm talking about we're trying to raise everybody up.
I mean, that's a comfortable life. You can see what you need. Yeah.
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about people who are currently making $7.50 an hour.
Yeah, and that's an argument for those like people. Minimum wage is like, well, people are only gonna have jobs if the job like pencils out, right? It's like, okay, it's cheaper to fire you, then you're gonna that's just bottom line, you know. It's like, once the job costs more than the value it produces, companies are getting rid of those jobs. And so it's like,
yeah,
it's better to have more people trained to do things that are that valuable, because machinists are paid that much because they're that valuable, because you need machinists that bad, and they provide that much value to the company. Like companies will not hire somebody that loses them money. So, but you have more negotiating power the more value you provide to the company, and machinists have a lot.
I mean, what I think is the issue is that there are any jobs that exist, you'll be getting paid that amount anyway. The real problem is that we have a lot of unskilled laborers. That's the problem. They have jobs, and those jobs pay them nothing, and that's an issue. But the real issue is that they're unskilled, and that they can't become and no matter how long you work at McDonald's, you're never going to be more valuable anywhere else. Exactly, and then just you can never get a management. You can never get another management job anywhere else besides a fast food joint, because those skills don't translate.
Automation replacing. Look at fast food places; they've all got the touch screen order things now. They're just getting rid of the employees. Well,
yeah, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, it's worse. So if you're worried about people having a livable wage, it's worse if they're on welfare than if they have the job. If there's not another job available for them, it's like that's the problem with the minimum wage. It's like some jobs are not meant to live on. They're like for a high schooler. Like, hey, you need to do some part-time work. So it's like, and it's good to have those jobs exist, but those jobs don't pencil out at more expensive things. But you need to learn how to work. And so you make some side money, and you don't have a lot of expenses. So it's there's some jobs that shouldn't be livable. Like, I don't think the minimum wage is meant to be a livable wage, but we do need to provide alternative ways to make money.
Well, that's the thing. Those people, we need to raise them up. That's what we're solving for. How do we raise them up? So now we're coming up with solutions. Is it minimum wage? Is it UBI? Is it making it more approachable to becoming a skilled worker? How do we take the average American worker and raise their value? That's what we're solving for. You know what I'm saying? How do we
UBI does not raise the average
American worker?
That's a good one. But if you're solving the other problem, which is make them be livable, you don't need to raise their value if you can just give them money and give them what they need.
Right. Well, that's why I wonder if we need to mix them. we'd have to have a mix of raising the value of the American worker and giving them a UBI or something. Because it is true, there are folks, and there's going to be an increasing amount, who may not possess the mental capacity to have any current job. As jobs get more complex, we're going to
there's always person-to-person jobs, and I'm not talking like sex work, you know, like I'm talking like there's just always just like like you're just gonna want people as nurses in hospitals, right? You always want that. You're never gonna want robot. I mean, like, okay, I guess there are some functions of nurses that are there. You're just gonna want somebody at least there all the time telling you what's going on. That's like, you're gonna want that. And so but then like
you are
teachers,
100%.
You're gonna want teachers to have a human to human experience, you know. So there's things that like are like gonna always be. I mean, there's a lot more examples than nurses and teachers, but like there's just things that are always going to be human to human. Prostitutes too. I mean, I know that's not specifically talking about sex works, but that dude, the prostitution. Like, I mean, it could be like a lot of people start doing it. I don't know if that's a good outcome, because it's like, how else do they make more money? Or how else do they like find use or make additional money in terms of UBI? Because people are always going to want more money.
I mean, I think that should be an individual choice. I'm down to let people do that. If they want to do that, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like oh no, more people are going to be prostitutes. I don't think that's I don't think that would happen. But if someone wants to do that, I say make prostitution legal. If someone wants to do that, sure. If you want to make UBI and then stack up, look. You know how much money people, like a good stripper makes? They make a shitload of money. And we're okay with that. But we're not okay with the prostitution thing, which, by the way, the prostitution thing is already happening illegally.
Yeah, but it would happen a lot more
for a lot of
strip
legal.
Clubs. You know, weed was illegal in Oregon, and then it became legal. It happens a lot more now that it's legal. Like, everyone who does weed does it. Like weed still happened when it was illegal.
I believe it.
But it happens a lot more now that it's legal. So prostitution, so the argument that it's already happening, it's like, yeah, like it's already happening, but it's going to be a lot more if we legalize it, and a lot more. Like, but there's too much of something. You can have too much of something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen a lot more for sure. I think it'll balance out in a natural amount. You know what I'm saying? Because I also don't know, like, because there are people out there who want to be prostitutes that aren't, and there are people who are prostitutes that don't want to be. You know, so I feel like we're going to reach a healthy balance. And what would be nice too, if prostitution was legal, you could create better systems, and you could have companies that do these things, and you could have standards and administration and increase the overall health of the
but what's it going to do to
prostitution
families?
system. You know what I mean? So,
no, I mean, like,
I think
if you
they can have a
okay,
prostitute.
so we're already moving away from this, but like, I mean, we already moved pretty far away from this, but it's like, okay, for guys that, okay, let's look at really unattractive couples. This is gonna be some real talk right now, okay? And they're both really unattractive, right? But it's a lot. But but maybe one of them was like, I have to make this, or like maybe the dude, more likely the dude than the girl, because it's just like the dude's just gonna be hornier. It's like, well, I need to get laid, so I gotta just lower my standards a lot to like find a woman that can have sex with me. And okay, and then the only way she's gonna do it is if I make a lifelong commitment to her. And then you have sex that way, but then now that dude, and then now they have a family, right? And so there's like, that's another kid in the world. But if instead that dude's like, I don't need to get married now because I can just go make money and I can bang any chick I want. And that was a huge factor for me in the marriage thing. Like, it wasn't the only factor. Like, I like my wife and I like my kids, but that was a pretty big factor. And there'll be some people that is enough of a factor to sway them to not get married and just have prostitutes as their companionship, which is not a great, any is gonna, like, I can't imagine that being more fulfilling of an existence. But like, you don't always make your decision based on what's most fulfilling. This is like a basic fucking human drive, man. Like, just like, you're not getting good sex. Yeah, and even it just doesn't have to be unattractive people. It's just people that are in a sexless marriage.
Yeah,
and you just, it already happens a lot, and it's going to happen more.
Which can be very attractive people.
Married people are one of the biggest users of prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to happen way more if it's legal. Because everyone's going to do it way more if it's legal.
I didn't know that. I believe that. I can believe that. Oh, for sure. I think that, yeah. And then now you bring up a point of like what's really happening too is that people are having less sex in general and having less kids. And if you want to know what's happening, just look at Japan. They're like 10 years ahead of this no sex.
That's what nobody's betting in. They got the sex robots.
Issue. Yeah. Yep, they got that. Well, and it's also a huge cultural thing. But basically, here's I got a hot take for you. Well, maybe not a hot take. I actually think that's not a bad thing. Because what you're seeing is the population stagnating or lowering. I don't think that's the worst thing. Because if you think about it, everybody's complaining about this overpopulation thing. They say humans are going to outgrow their environment and they're going to basically die. In the same way that if you have too many deer without any predators, they'll eat up all the food, and then once the food's gone, it's all gone at once, and then all the deer die. And it's the same argument for humans. Is that we are basically, at some point, we're going to consume all the resources, they're going to be gone, and then we all have a massive extinction event. But we're already regulating our population right now.
True.
In fact, in certain countries, we're lowering it. So I don't know that that's a bad thing.
I've never believed in like that we were going to be overpopulated.
Just making less lives.
I've never once believed. Yeah, that's just because I mean like that's what you're exactly what you're saying. Japan's they're decreasing, and you see it in every country. The developing country, we know what it goes. They have a shit ton while they're developing. They get developed, and they stop having a lot of kids, and their population stabilizes. It happens like over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's happening. Yeah,
I believe it.
That's always, dude. In the United States, I think we're stagnant. We're stagnant for the most. We're approaching it.
I'm not going to.
We're basically going to cap out at like 400 million.
I'm not. I agree with you. Maybe we could do less people, but I want to have like 7 kids, so I'm going to do it. I'm not here to change that on the individual level.
Yeah.
Let's just forces do their thing. They're not working.
Right.
I want like 7 kids.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is there are a lot of people. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well,
I want to have multiple kids.
Here's the difference.
I don't want just the only child. Or
developing countries, kids make you money. In developed countries, they cost you money. Because you work your kids all day. Because you like have your own farm. So there's like work that they can do. In developed countries, they just fucking cost you money the entire time they grow up. That's why. I mean that's like probably a huge reason why. Just like any couple decides. Yeah. That's like. Why do most people in the U.S.? Oh, I want 2 kids, like money.
Yeah, right.
What if you want 5 kids? We can no longer go on family vacations if we have 5 kids, but we better have 2. Dude. Is that abortion to not have your hypothetical kid that you could have had? Is it your right to spread as much seed as you can into the world? Yeah, I think so. That would be their argument.
That's what the Catholics would argue. The 2030 book gives a good perspective. They basically said what happens is that as people get more money, they increase the quality of their child's life, but they don't increase the quantity of children. And so in a developed country, it's different because basically especially if it's agricultural, if it's a very agricultural society, which you can see like China was a counter case study years ago, not anymore now. If you look at Africa, they're more of an agricultural society and becoming more so. They're having lots of kids because when you have a farm, you need more people to work the farm. Well, what's better than a paid worker, a non-paid worker? And how do you get those? You have lots of kids. So that makes sense. You know what I mean? And they make you money, like you said. So I think that overall, we're going to regulate our population just as a human species, like we're kind of naturally doing that. But the no sex thing, I don't know if it's really an issue. Like people treat it like it's an issue, but I don't know that it's that much of an issue. It's like, well, we're still having. It's an issue if like no one was having kids and our population was rapidly declining, then it'd be like, it's an issue and we need to start banging. You know what I mean? And people are also probably banging, but contraception and education is good enough that there's just not as many kids.
I don't need that reason to want to start banging. Like any dude ever wants to do bang. Yeah. Like, okay. But how many times during the day, if a really hot girl like came up that you knew, like you can in this fantasy, it's a girl maybe you like her a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
How many moments in your life would you stay in the moment if she said, "Hey, let's go bang instead right now"? I know. Like, think about there's a few things I'd be like, I can't do that right now, down. But not a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, dude, I'd be down every single time. Dude, in most situations, there's not that many situations that I would not do that. If I was at work, okay, yeah, I would leave work. Done. Yeah. If I was at a bar, done. Would I leave my apartment right now? Absolutely. If it, you know what I mean?
It has to be like somebody you trust to know. I don't think you would do it with strangers.
I think what's happening.
Just like random strangers, but it's got to be like, I think it's more if it's a significant other. I don't think if it was just some. I probably would say yes. Keep going through this head like maybe. Yeah.
I mean, listen. We could get deeper into the specifics, but I think the point is made. The dudes are already. They run into an issue in Japan. I just love learning about this shit in Japan. But they're an issue where guys aren't approaching girls, and girls no longer need men to basically create a career and get everything they want, because they have full rights and full cultural. They're treated the same, almost the same culturally as men. So for the most part, they don't really need a guy anymore. And then guys are too nervous to approach women, so it's like this. They don't get any relationships, and also it's a huge problem in Japan. If you become a mom, you are expected no job, quit your career. Your only priority is children. So then any woman is like, well, then why the fuck would I have a kid then? You tell me that my entire life ends, and I am now just a mom and a baby maker the second I have a kid. Okay, well then I'm certainly not going to have the kid before I've made a shitload of money. Then that's what I would do as a woman. Absolutely, if I was in the same circumstances like they are in Japan. Yeah. But anyway,
dude,
similar things happen in the United States, but
figured out. I like that we're trying though.
No one's got it figured out.
Things work pretty well.
No one's got it figured out.
All things considered. Like the fact that every single thing failed really well in Texas this week, but then like everybody was fine. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That could have been really catastrophic, and it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been.
Nope. Well, the thing is, you could say like, oh, it could have been worse. It could have been worse, but the reaction would have been more so. So like, say it was emergency. There's no bottle of water, no water in Texas. Boom. People treat it like, oh, that I would have died. No. There would have been a reaction to that. Like FEMA, National Guard steps in, like more stuff would have happened. So like the reaction kind of matches how bad the situation is. So like, could it have been better? Yeah, and it could have been more convenient for us. But if you look at it in like a survival situation, that was pretty fucking good. If you think about it, there are countries that don't have power for like weeks, or like water for weeks, or they don't even have clean water. We're on a boil notice here because they say, oh, we can't clean the microbes out. Yeah. There are countries, they're always on a boil notice.
Yeah. You mean like, dude, if
no water is safe. So
citizens of Mexico don't have to because their like immune systems are used to it. But if you go to Mexico, you drink bottled water because it can fuck you up, and it has. It's never happened to me, but it's happened to people I've been with like on the trip, and I've just never done it. Well, you can like rinse your vegetables and stuff, but like, no, dude, you're just not used to that ecosystem there, and it will just ruin a vacation. And it's like, we got a pretty good. That's just that doesn't happen here. I don't think that happens. Maybe the reverse is true. It's just the ecosystem, but somehow I don't imagine that people from Mexico come here. At least, I don't know. Oregon's got like the best water. Actually, that's actually one claim that Oregon makes that I agree with. We have the best water.
Yeah,
I've been to a lot of other places and drank the water straight out of tap. Oregon's water is good.
Yeah. Dude, it's by far the best. Oregon is the best, and there's so much of it. It's literally the best water. Dude, people in Austin say we have the best water, and then go to New York and they say the best water. And Austin does have good water, and New York does have good water, but doesn't hold a candle to Oregon, dude. People literally, bottled water doesn't even taste as good as normal, just out of the tap.
Dude, it's good. Except for my last apartment, I didn't drink out of the tap because it made my throat itch, and I was like, "This is probably bad." I stopped drinking. If I drink something, my throat starts itching. I'm gonna find a new source of water here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
That's it. Every other attack
Interesting.
is good.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe just.
Yeah, that doesn't work for our example, but.
I think so.
Yeah.
Good work.
Well, dude, I think we solved the world's problems.
Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna try to go live next week.
Another great episode for everybody. I don't think it.
And.
Yep, we're gonna get it figured out.
All right.
We will figure out
a great
technology.
episode, everybody, and bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.